All right. Welcome to the Stressed Accountant YouTube channel. My name is Dawn Goldberg. Welcome. I've been a CPA now for over 30 years. Yes, I'm still standing. I have worked for Deloitte& and Touche. I've worked for Ernst& Young, and I am a professional certified coach for accountants. I'm also the author of my new book, The Smarter Accountant, and I have created both the Smarter Accountant program and the Smarter Accountant Time Management program. And so in episodes 1 through 4 of this YouTube channel, I discussed the topic of stress and overwhelm. That was the first topic that I discussed. And in the next 4 episodes, it's going to be all about working too many hours. So it doesn't matter whether you're in public or private accounting. You are probably struggling with working more hours than you'd like to. So in my book, The Smarter Accountant, I shared the story of Joe. So now let me share Joe's story with you here. And then I'm going to answer the question, if I'm so smart, why do I work too many hours? Okay, so Joe was a CPA who had worked his way up to senior manager at his accounting firm. He was the first person in his family to graduate from college, and he wanted to make his extended family proud, right? We can probably relate to that. It wasn't easy, but he was determined to grow professionally. And he was well respected at the firm that he worked at. And he was often the one who he stayed the latest at the office and worked many more hours than his colleagues. And the thing was, the building's maintenance team, the work building that he worked at, the maintenance team at the building, they came in to straighten up after hours. And they often joked about how there was no way that Joe had a wife at home. He worked way too many hours for any woman to stay happily married to him. But here's the problem. Joe did have a wife. Joe had a wife and he had 2 young children at home. So when he first got married, his wife was very understanding of the pressure that he was under to pass the CPA exam and the steps that he felt he needed to take to move up in his career. But once they started having children, she became frustrated with Joe's late hours because he was missing so much time with their children, time he would never be able to get back. He was missing time with his wife as well, and their relationship was suffering. So, although they discussed him not working so many hours, he just couldn't figure out how to not only slow down, but also how to still get all of his work done. It just felt like a catch-22, right? The more hours he worked, the more anxious he felt. The more anxious he felt, the less efficient he was. And the less efficient he was, the more hours he needed to work. Even though he was only in his late 30s, his health was suffering as well. He wasn't eating properly because he was never home for a healthy home cooked meal that his wife loved to prepare. He wasn't going to the gym like he used to. And he was also experiencing sleep problems. So the real issue was that Joe was secretly using work as a way to try to build his lack of self confidence. You see, a large part of the reason why he was working too many hours was that he was trying to prove his worth to the firm, to his family, and to himself. And many times, he says, when he was working late in the office after everyone else had left, he would question, if I'm so smart, why am I working too many hours? So if you can relate to Joe's story, you're in luck because one of the many benefits of why I started this YouTube channel and one of the many benefits of becoming a smarter accountant versus a stressed accountant is the ability to address an issue that plagues so many accountants, working too many hours. So if you can relate to working too many hours, you most likely have a family, or maybe you have other things in your life or other people in your life who are also being affected by you working all those hours. And just like Joe, I'm going to bet you are also being detrimentally affected in many ways. Maybe your relationships are being affected, your health, maybe even just your happiness. And while working too many hours has various causes, such as fear, anxiety, a scarcity mindset, a lack of time management skills, which I'm going to talk about. I think I'm going to be talking about that next month. And One of the other causes could be like a propensity to overcommit. All of those can cause working too many hours, but the one main cause that I see the most when I'm coaching accountants is surprising. It's actually a lack of self-confidence. Hands down, this is one of the most common issues for accountants. Now, the funny thing is, even with all the advanced knowledge and all the degrees and the letters after our last names and the continuing professional education that we get, accountants tend to have an issue with self-confidence. It is a large part of the reason why we feel the need to go after those degrees and those extra letters after our last names, because we believe those accomplishments and those accolades will make us feel confident. But here's the other tricky thing when it comes to working too many hours. It's also highly encouraged by the accounting profession. So if you think about it, things like overeating, over drinking, and overspending, those are frowned upon by society. But when it comes to overworking, especially for accountants, this is rarely met with concern for the accountant's overall well-being. If we're being completely honest, as accountants, we also tend to judge each other based on how many hours we work. And so, for example, I was once walking in the hallway of my office building when I passed two accountants from another office that was in my building. And I overheard one say to the other, "Did you see that Larry's car wasn't in the parking lot last night?" And the other accountant replied, "He must not be very good at what he does." Seriously. This badge of honor that has become the norm in the accounting profession might be considered good for business, but it's also leading to more marital, parenting, health, and burnout issues than anything else. But what's an accountant supposed to do if they struggle with working too many hours? So that's what I'm going to share with you next week. So check back when I explain the number one thing causing you to work too many hours. So if you are interested in figuring out how to stop working too many hours, you'll definitely want to schedule a 30-minute call with me and we can discuss what you're struggling with. I can help you see exactly what's getting in the way and, of course, what you can do about it. The solution to working too many hours, I'm telling you, is simple and doable, and I can show you how. So just go below in this video to the link to book a 30-minute call with me. And don't forget to check out the other free resources that I have in the description below. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.